you so much for joining us. This is the Revised Spotlight series. For those of you joining, I'm Trevor Park. I'm the VP of Marketing at Digital, and I'm excited to have Jude here.
I'm Jude Chiy.
Tell us a little bit about who you are, what your company is, and let's talk about how did you get into this industry?
Yeah, absolutely. So Jude Chiy, the founder and CEO of Flamingo. So Flamingo is a resident retention platform. Got started pretty interestingly in the industry, like a lot of people, not really like planned out. So got started in the industry because I was pre-med in college, so wanted to go to med school, but did like a college internship in Australia and realized that I actually liked the business side of healthcare much better. So when I came back to the US, moved into healthcare management. So worked for a private network of oncology hospitals. Really liked it. Was on the business side, did that for a few years, but realized that prevention is much better. So decided to start a company focused on prevention. So how do you keep people healthy before they get sick and have to go to the hospital? So started a company called Hello Healthy, where we brought wellness and fitness to where you live, work, and play. So that included apartment buildings. So that's how we kind of got started. So started providing fitness classes and wellness events to apartments, got pretty successful. And when we grew, I basically had the thought like, oh crap, these owners are paying us a lot of money to run like fitness programs at their communities. Eventually they're gonna be like, can you give us some data on how it's going? So I was like, oh yeah, we don't even collect RSVPs or anything. So I reached out to a few of our partners and said, hey, do you guys have a way for your residents to sign up so we can collect data? And they're like, oh yeah, no, we actually do not. So we built a really basic app to allow for RSVPs. So did that, and as we grew, we would receive a lot of questions from residents, like, what do I need to bring to class? Who's gonna be the instructor? That kind of thing. So got annoyed by that, and then added like a really basic FAQ to the app, like, go look up the app and see what information is there.
Yeah.
And we got a bunch of our partners reach out to ask like, oh, can we also add our information to the app? So these are property managers, so like our residents also send us a lot of questions. Can we add our guide to the app? So that's kind of where the light bulb hit, like, oh, there is something here. So realized that there's an opportunity in the space for tech. So decided to spend like 4 months just doing research. So from like 8 to 5 every day, would walk to like every apartment in Chicago, like pick a street, stop at every single community, and did that and touched every single apartment in Chicago over like a 4-month period. Wow. And learned like a lot about the industry, the pain points that the on-site teams like have, and just all the processes that are manual, all the things that they do day to day, what they like, what they don't like, from both the residents, from the front desk, from the property manager, assistant property manager, leasing agents. And that's how Flamingo kind of came to be.
The stories that you have to have in terms of what multifamily is like in Chicago, probably numerous. I definitely want to learn more about that over a drink. Is like, what's the craziest story
a lot,
you have?
Yeah, it's actually a lot.
Which would be really interesting. But to keep us focused, I also like talk a little bit about how this is different than some of the other tools that are out there. Like, what are you doing that sets you apart from other solutions that help with resident FAQ and resident event services and that kind of stuff?
Yeah, so what Flamingo is we are really a resident retention platform. So the big problem we solve for is that in the apartment industry, companies lose 50% of their residents every year. And everyone just accepts that, like, that's how it is. And it's really terrible. If you look at other industries, they put a lot more effort into retaining customers. Mm-hmm. People in the industry argue that they do a lot to keep residents, but they really do not. Part of the issue is that there's a lot of disconnected data across the resident experience. So companies might use one tool for the moving process, another tool for rewards, another tool for a portal, another tool for surveys, another tool for you name it. So part of what Flamingo does is we replace a lot of single point solutions, and then we bring our own automations and use all that data to basically know that you, Trevor, don't want to renew because you want a 2-bedroom. So like, oh, here are 2 bedrooms available in the community. You can do all of that within the app.
Cool.
Or you are annoyed because your moving process just didn't go well. So here's like a $10 reward to kind of keep you a little bit happy.
Nice.
So we are able to automate dozens of processes that are typically like manual. We're able to bring data into each single touch point that residents like experience. So over the last year, it took us a while to get to that point. But as we've built our platform over the last like 4 years, a lot of like the bigger players have realized like they are losing a lot of money and keeping a lot of money on the table.
Yeah.
So just this year alone, we've launched with about 4 of the, I would say NMHC like top 50.
That's exciting.
Part of it is like when you show them the actual like data of a resident literally saying, I'm not going to renew because of this. And they never have that information beforehand. Now they can see how action is actually taken without any impact to their teams having to do something like manually.
That's exciting. In terms of how they're leveraging that data from an actionable standpoint, then are you seeing a pretty good correlation in retention after the fact? So in terms of like they're seeing this data up front as to, these people aren't renewing because of X, Y, Z, so they're able to course correct. And then because of that, subsequently, you are actually impacting the retention quality to go up.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool.
So in what I consider like V1, we would surface those insights and then pass that on to the on-site teams to take action. And we realized that that just like wasn't happening. Like some would take action, but a lot of times nothing really like happened. And then in V2, what we did is just automate a lot of that like follow-ups and touch points. So one of the features within our platform is we have basically renewal management. And that renewal management involves a lot of steps that start the day you actually move in. So if we know that you are not going to renew because you want a 2-bedroom, we surface that and say, hey, here are 2 bedrooms available within the same community. You can do your lease transfer and do all of that like right in the app without the leasing agents having to intervene at all. So just a lot of automations. If you are on the fence about renewing because we know that you have had a lot of bad experiences, and those could be because when you submitted an email to management, it took them 10 days to respond to you, or when you had like maintenance requests, on average, it took like a week to complete. We know what your sentiment is. So we know that, okay, this person might need like a small reward to kind of say, hey, here's a little bit of value or loyalty for you.
That's cool.
So for our customers that fully implement our platform, we see retention go from like 50% to 75%.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And then,
incredible.
and then it goes higher when we think about retention across the portfolio, because for some instances, a resident is not going to renew because they have to relocate. And for our national partners, that's where we're like, okay, here are assets in, you need to move from Chicago to New York. Here are our assets in Chicago, or here are assets in New York.
That's helpful.
And these are the ones that we think you are going to like, because we know that you use the fitness center 40 times. So fitness is really important to you. You attended X number of events, so we know that's important to you. Here are our assets in this other city that are comparable and have all the things that you like.
That's fair.
So it's literally just like data, using that to
Power that up.
power everything else.
That's really interesting. Okay, cool. I want to pick your brain more on that after the fact too. I think that would be really cool. I want to dive into trends for next year.
Yeah.
What are you banking on? What's the thing that you think is going to be the primary focus for a lot of our industry in 2025?
I think I'll answer that in 2 ways. I think the first is like, what are people excited about and what are they going to do? I think a lot of people are going to start talking about, which it's already happening. We need to add AI. We need to do this. We need to do this. What I really think people should think about when they think about trends is, what are things that are not going to change? So residents are always going to want you to complete their work orders like quickly. They're always going to want whatever is like most convenient. So I think for companies, rather than thinking about what's the newest and greatest thing, they should think about like, what isn't going to change about human behavior?
Yeah.
And then really like optimize for that. People always want convenience. So how can we make life as convenient for
Yeah.
our residents as possible and not overcomplicate
And
it?
focusing on the basics then, and then like making
Yeah.
that the gold standard of like, we should be here,
Yeah.
but we're not.
Yeah, exactly.
I like that.
Yeah.
Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for hopping on this. This is a lot of fun. I
Yeah,
love picking your
absolutely.
brain. I want to keep the conversation going afterwards, so I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Always happy to connect, Trevor. You know
Yeah,
me.
man. Thank you.